Hello, and welcome to Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter, a podcast where Dr. O from All Creatures Every Spine interviews doctors and animal owners that utilize animal chiropractic to get their unique perspectives. Yes, it's really a thing. Dr. O utilizes his 30 years of experience as both an animal chiropractor and veterinarian, and to dig deep into the discussion of complex issues affecting the lives of your animal friends and companions. Join us for this educational episode. Thanks for joining us for this portion of the episode as Dr. O begins to answer the question, what is animal chiropractic? He will look at how the chiropractic adjustment is a valuable and viable treatment for what ails your animals.
Helping others experience an abundant life with the gift, art, and blessing that is animal chiropractic is our sole mission at All Creatures Every Spine. It's what we do. It's what we love. It truly is what keeps us motivated to help people just like you. I truly love the art of chiropractic. It drives me to provide the highest level of chiropractic possible. And as fellow chiropractic business owners, it's that love that drives us to become better. However, the reality is that sometimes running a successful business can be challenging. Sometimes there can be obstacles to overcome. We all know the old saying, if it were easy, everyone would do it. Well, one thing that is really easy is marketing our clinic with a professional animal chiropractic website by the Chiro Website Pro, Tony Seymour. He's a professional web designer, and his team at Chiro Website Pro take good care of us. They simply make marketing our practice 100% hassle-free. If you're looking for the number one hands-free way to market your practice, give the Chiro Website Pro a call at 423-779-4630 or simply visit www.chirowebsitepro.com and make sure you ask them about the special ACES discount and let them know Dr. Amy and Dr. O sent you. You'll be glad. What is animal chiropractic? Animal chiropractic is the identification and removal of vertebral subluxation. That's all it is. Pretty simple. But my dog has a diagnosis. My horse has a diagnosis. It's a wobblers. It's on the x-ray. I can see it. It's been pointed out. Yeah, it could be, But here's the thing is that a lot of times we look at an x-ray and x-rays are static. Blood work is static. Doesn't mean anything. It's just what it is today. For instance, wobblers, if you read the definition of a wobblers is slow onset disease. That's type 2 wobblers. It's due to arthritic changes in an older animal. Or it's a congenital problem, which is there since birth. Okay, so, however, I can't tell you how many old horses or even young horses are diagnosed as wobblers because they're fine in the morning, they go out, we don't know what happened, they come in that night and they have neurological symptoms that coincide with symptoms of wobblers. Take some x-rays, see a little problem, oh my gosh, they're wobblers. All right, so you have a diagnosis, wobblers. All right, my diagnosis is vertebral subluxation. What are we going to do with the wobblers? Well, nothing. Retire them, have them live a quality of life, or do surgery. Those are our options with wobblers. What are you going to do with a vertebral subluxation? You're going to get your animal adjusted by a certified animal chiropractor. After 3 adjustments, if the animal's doing better, then the vertebral subluxation was the problem causing the neurological change. maybe your animal has wobblers, but he can live with it. He can adapt with it because innate doesn't make anything wrong decisions. So keep them adjusted, keep the wobblers at bay. All right. So my thing to clients with a medical diagnosis or veterinary diagnosis is that, that's great. That's a veterinary diagnosis. I agree, may have that. But what I'm going to do is identify and remove the vertebral subluxations from your animal, which is going to allow his brain to communicate with the periphery. It's going to allow the innate healing power that the body is born with to adapt to these changes in his body in an appropriate manner. Yep. We all get toxins. We're all exposed to toxins. We're all exposed to stress, and we're all exposed to trauma. Micro traumas happen every day. So those are the three things that cause these vertebral subluxations. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in, we're going to adjust, we're going to see what happens. How long is your adjustment going to hold? Well, for the average animal, probably every 2 to 4 weeks, depending on what you're doing with your animal, what your expectations are from chiropractic, and how severe these vertebral subluxations are. If your animal's only holding 3 or 4 days and continues to hold 3 or 4 days, then maybe we need to do some more diagnostics. Maybe we need to see what else is going on. However, if your animal holds even a day, the first adjustment, he's better, boom, only holds a day. Let's go ahead and adjust him again. Oh, now he holds 5-6 days. Guess what? He's healing. He is on the road to recovery. Let's continue the chiropractic adjustments. If he only holds a day and then a day, right? Now we need to do more diagnostics. We need to determine what's going on. That is when we do these diagnostic tests. Had a dog that was getting adjusted every 3 days, found out he had 7 bladder stones. They went in, removed the bladder stones, everything got better, right? But every time we adjusted him, he was good for 3 days. So the owners didn't want to spend the money on the diagnostics up front, but at the end they did. Had another dog come in. I said, I think his elbow may be broken, so we need to get some x-rays. They didn't really want to do the x-rays, but they finally agreed. So what are we going to do? We're not going to do surgery. I said, go get the x-rays. We'll look at it, see what's going on. Was dislocated, was able to fix it. The dog's doing great now. So chiropractic, the removal of interferences from the nervous system, the restoration of proper motion in the joints of the body, allow the innate to heal above, down, inside out. That's animal chiropractic.
Make sure to visit our website, allcreatureseveryspine.com, where you can subscribe to the show and learn more about getting your animals adjusted. If you are in the Meridian, Texas area, drop in on a Tuesday afternoon to get your animals adjusted. If that isn't possible, schedule a consultation on your animal's health with Dr. O. You can also purchase a copy of Dr. O's book. Yes, it's really a thing.
Standard Process is a third-generation family-owned company in rural Wisconsin. You could say we just make nutritional supplements, but we know we're changing lives. We grow ingredients on our own certified organic farm without pesticides or herbicides because we think they should be as close to nature as possible. Quality is our priority. That's why we do everything right here, from hand-picking the seeds to delivery. so you know exactly what goes into every bottle.
Join us as Dr. O interviews a certified chiropractor, veterinarian, or an animal owner. These enthusiastic people explain how they utilize animal chiropractic to alter the lives of the animals in their communities.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Animal Chiropractic Clinic Chatter. I'm your host, Dr. O, and today I'm here with Dr. Ava Frick. You want to tell us a little bit about your practice, Dr. Frick?
Okay, well, I'd closed my big rehab practice that was in Missouri, Eureka, exactly. And it was decided that I was done with the Missouri cold weather and ready to work at a little different pace. I didn't want half a dozen employees anymore and all the management and things with that. So I moved to Cave Creek, Arizona, and I have an office space. I do chiropractic, physiotherapy, same kinds of things I was, nutrition, the Fit Paws program, so a lot of exercise, showing what to do on any kind of animal. I do that here. I just don't have the underwater treadmill, but all the other tools and gadgets that I had before I have. So the whole focus is chiropractic and then augmenting whatever else we need to help that body become the most it can be.
Cool. All right. So how long have you been utilizing animal chiropractic?
Well, I started in 97, so I think that makes it 24 years.
Yeah. You taught some, didn't you, at Options for Animals in the beginning?
I did some of when they would have, so I went through the initial program and then went on to do the master's program. And so it was during the master's program that I did have some, I added in laser, it was early on before laser was cool. And I was already using low level laser. So I did some demonstrations with that, did a little bit of neuro, a few lectures on that, different aspects of what I was, autonomic nervous system. I'm very key on that. So added that in. So I had a few.
Cool. All right. So what are some of your biggest wins with animal chiropractic? We always like to start with that, but some of your biggest wins, and I mean, I'm sure you've had a lot.
Well, I think one that what I would say is the biggest is the dogs that are paralyzed, the paresis paralysis dogs that come in and people, you're their last hope. And the client's been told either spend a lot of money for surgery or have them euthanized. And so they're out there looking for another option. And those ones that we can take from not being able to walk to up and running and navigating and living a full life, that's pretty phenomenal.
You bet. And it happens. Yeah. And it happens way too often.
Oh yeah. It's like, even when we still see it, it's still like a miracle to us, but you know it can happen. It can happen. But yet seeing them go from not being able to do anything to up and running, it's still, you look at that and you go, wow, isn't this awesome? Without this, I could not do that.
Correct. And I just wish that we could get it to where, like you said, we're usually their last resort. And
yes. Yeah. The goal is definitely to get more people aware, because they can't depend on the traditional veterinarian to refer them to us. A few do, but that's not going to be the majority. No. So the goal has to be then that enough people become aware of the benefits of chiropractic, that it's promoted, that it's out there, like doing these type of podcasts where the people can link into it. Some of the Pet Summit programs that are coming up, being able to have good exposés about the benefits of chiropractic, people doing testimonies and posting them, and dog magazines writing articles about them, all of that, to where a larger percentage of the population has a new awareness.
Yeah, and social media is helping. I mean, I see probably 3 or 4 on my feed every day of different animal chiropractors that have before and after video of an animal that is paralyzed or was paralyzed and now is walking, and so we try to get videos on everything. But how we even though I'm bad, I'm really bad. Dr. Amy's better, but I'm bad. I'll be like, oh, I forgot to take that video because I just want to get in there and adjust it.
Yeah, we get so enthralled with what it is and then doing our routine of things that, then when they're up walking, you go,
oh, yeah, I should have.
We forgot to take the befores.
Yeah, and you can't ever get the befores after you adjust them once because they're never as bad. Right.
Yeah, you just have to have the owner do an interview.
Yeah, and that's not nearly as forceful. We had a dog, a 13 or 14-year-old poodle one night, and it was at the end of the day, and we'd been adjusting all day, and we did 4 competition dogs for this lady at this house, and it was like I think 9 o'clock when we got there, and we did 4 competition dogs, and then she said, "I almost hate to ask, but do you think you can help my old poodle?" And he came out, and the poodle was doing cerebellar walking. So the front end was walking in one gait, and the back end was doing a different gait. And he walked over to the corner and just kept walking. Like, he didn't walk, he was just walking. And so he didn't know where he was. And and it was bad. And we looked at each other and we're like, well, we can try. So we adjusted, the atlas and maybe the sacrum at that time. And we laughed, no video. And we go back the next month and we adjust the 4 competition dogs. And Dr. Amy and I look at each other and we're like, do we want to know? Do we want to know? And so we finally said, how's the poodle doing? And she says, oh, well, let me show you. And so she opened the door and the dog came running out and, was moving better and both ends were moving at the same gait, and she didn't run into the corner, and it was like, wow. And we're like, well, so you ready for us to adjust her again? Oh, no, she's doing fine. She doesn't need another adjustment. And which brings me to another point, is that sometimes the worst dogs, when they come in, have the most amazing results, but make the worst long-time client.
Right. Yeah. Because if they get going really good, they may decide that they don't need more.
Yeah. And we had one dachshund that was paralyzed 4 times.
You brought him back. That's pretty good. You were talking about competition dogs too. So when I was there in Eureka, which is on the western side of St. Louis County, there's a lot of whippet racing. And so I had the opportunity to work on a lot of those dogs, and it's really, really fun to see them as they progress through being adjusted and how their petition improves along the way. And each time, then when the owner comes back in and they share their wins, it's like you get a win that day too, because I know, when they're adjusted properly, everything's going to function better, and then so is the end result of the race.
Yeah. And some of them share, some owners share, and some of them, don't tell anybody because it's their trade secret. So that's
right. Yeah. I had a pretty good group there where once some of the dogs got going better, then somebody else would come in and another one would come in. So yeah, they're fairly social. And we also have Stingies, a lot of those guys running too.
Yeah. We all, and it's funny because when we were in North Dallas, we did a lot of flyball dogs. So a lot of border collies, Jack Russells. And then we moved to the ranch, which is only 2 hours away. And now we do a lot of German Shepherds.
Wow. And so are those Shepherds doing herding or Schutzen?
Schutzen. well, IPO now they call it. Yeah, but it's all protection, and we're just doing a lot of that, and it's kind of, we figured we'd see more horses, but we just seem to be.
I think it kind of depends too on what area. Out here where I am now in Cave Creek, there are several other veterinarians and chiropractors that are doing horses. So, I've been trying to get my horse business going. My plan is that I can work on some horses and then in exchange be able to ride some horses. So I'm still working on that. I haven't quite got the right ones yet, but it'll happen. I got my saddle and everything else with me, so I'm ready for the ride.
All right, good. Yeah. So, well, we have, at the ranch, one of the reasons we moved to the ranch was so that our students would have the chance to adjust, no matter what, level they are. And so our students actually adjust, not just do posology or setups, but like when I went to through school, and I'm sure when you went through school, we didn't adjust anything. When we were going through. That's what
you did when you went back after the course. Then when you went back home before you came back the next time, that's what you were doing.
Yeah, you were adjusting, but
you had to use it on your clients and patients, hoping that you remembered when they came in to what you're supposed to do. Like initially, it's like somebody would be gone, and I'd go, "Oh crap! I should have adjusted that one," because it's not part of the routine operating procedures. But once you get doing it, and then it becomes a whole lot more efficient. But realistically, even for me, as much as I did it took me 1.5 years before I really felt like, okay, I got this now. I'm not over adjusting. I'm not doing too much. I've got the setups. I'm creating the change enough in the body that you then back off and let the body do the rest of it. But it took me 1.5 years of doing a lot. Mm-hmm. So people can't come out and expect that instantly you're going to have that confidence. I think that's the thing, is knowing that I knew. That was the point I had to get to.
And for me, it was 2 years. It was a full 2 years before I felt like I knew what I was doing. And so hopefully that's one of the things we've tried to do at the ACES, is lower that curve a little bit by getting students to adjust on day one. First day they're there, they adjust dogs, and then we adjust horses. We have 12 horses that people are like, "Oh, well, that horse has got skinny." Well, that horse is 42 years old. Well, that horse has, got a bunged up knee. And I'm like, yeah. And all these horses came here to die. And most of them came to die the day they got there. And, and so we purchased them and said, hey, let's just see how they do. And if they are able to move around with the herd and function as a normal horse, which means eat grass and all that, then and move. And we have 192 acres for them to move on.
Wow.
Which I think that does a lot for these animals that are used to being in a 8x8 stall, and then they get to move. And then of course we let the students adjust them. So they get adjusted twice a month. And makes a huge difference.
Yeah, that's a phenomenal opportunity, and well done on resurrecting those horses, allowing them to have a life that they had only dreamed of in their golden years. That's way cool.
Yeah, and they know their job. I mean, we've got we have a 5-year-old that came. He's been there for almost 3 years now, a little over 3 years, and he came because he was a wobblers and was going to be put down, and we were going to use him for anatomy. And we adjusted him, and then he no longer wobbled.
There you go.
And he had been in a stall for 9 months.
Oh my gosh.
And so he lacks some manners, and he will He will push and he will kind of, nip every once in a while. But man, when he's in class, he is the coolest dude. He just, lets you do.
Well, even on those other less than optimal behaviors, he still sees himself as having value, and he has his opinion that, hey, I'm here, I count, somebody see me. It's like he's not going unnoticed.
Right.
So that there says too that he has a value for existence, and that's what it's about too, is like, if they're so painful that they don't eat and they can't get around and all of that, then all right, life has a different point of view for them. But when they're that functional and they can actually get out of being in those stalls where that's part of why they got to the condition that they're in, then that's really awesome.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things with chiropractic too on the Horse Avenue is helping all those riders to realize that you can't wait until you see something that they look so bad or that's so obvious that's when you get adjusted. There's that maintenance because their body isn't allowed to do the stretching and the motion that it normally would be if they lived where they could go out into a pasture every day.
Yeah, and our pasture's not level by any means either, so that's very good. It helps with proprioception. And the horse with the bad knee actually prefers to go, well, there's a windy path up the hill to the house. We have a 200-foot drop. So between the top and the bottom of our property, we have 200 feet. And he prefers to go up the windy way, which would be the way you would assume that an animal with a hind end problem would have. But he comes straight down.
Wow.
So
interesting.
Yeah. I think his motivation for food, I think he's a food-driven animal. So that food overrides any discomfort.
Any other concern. It's like, get there fast and it'll be over quicker. I can take the curvy route, but it'll require a third more time. This way I can just get there and I'm done with it.
Yeah, and then I can eat.
And then I can eat.
Yeah, and food is important.
Yeah, that's right.
So, yeah, well, cool. So I'm glad your dog practice is going. You have got a couple books out.
Oh, yeah. So, I've still got my original exercise book for horses, The Fitness in Motion. That's no longer in print, but I've created a flash drive with that. It's like a second edition. It has some other things added to it and some change ups. So I have that for those who want to be able to have those ground exercises and work on maintaining. It's what helps between the chiropractic adjustments and gets that muscle tone and those proprioceptors and all that re-signaling a little bit more imprinted is to the new better. And then my biography came out this past year. It's called Conversations with Animals. So the story of my life, but I have the stories kind of like a James Herriot little bit of a book where I've got a lot of different animal stories. We all veterinarians have a lot of those. Some funny ones and some oopses and, some that are touching. And so, so that's available. And then I have, I also have the Tai Chihuahua program, which I created, which is a low impact stretching exercise. And that's also on a flash that's available. And the dog stretching, I have that as well. So I got a few things. And then for the professional group, I from my research on hair tissue mineral analysis, I put together an instructional guidebook. It's 100 pages for how to interpret hair sampling if you're doing that. And then also another book that goes along with that, which is using a survey that helps to discern which system needs the most attention based on nutrition, and helping walk doctors through that as well. So trying to get it on all avenues from the general public to the professionals.
Well, cool. And just so Dr. Frick allowed us to put two of her courses, that Tai Chihuahua and the canine stretching. We got those on our on the school site. So the private site, they're available for AVCA certified doctors and IVCA certified doctors for credit for CE. And I think there's 2 of those. So you can go to that website for that, and you can go to avafrick.net, right, to get your book.
The web avafrick.com.
avafrick.com, right?
Yeah, for the website. Yeah. So there's a lot of different ways that people can expand their knowledge, and also that just raises, from the professional perspective, what they can share with their clients.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing all around.
Yeah. So you mentioned, our oath says do no harm. And one of the problems that I get into when we try to do some of the chiropractic studies that we've done at the ranch, we've tried to do some double-blind studies. And, and a lot of them are with chickens, and so we'll have adjusted chickens and non-adjusted chickens, and everybody has a band, and the first chicken that was not doing very well, I texted up to the house and said, I need you to look up chicken number 48 and see, and it came back down that it's non-adjusted group. And so I was like, well, I don't know what to do. And by that night, the other chickens had beat it up, and it was, because chickens are bad when they're mean to each other. They smell a weakness, they'll take them down. Yeah. And so then from then on, when I saw a chicken, that was not doing very well, I'd call up and it's like, can this chicken get an extra adjustment? And if it was in the adjusted group, it got an extra adjustment, and they did fine. But man, the biggest reason for not having the same number of chickens in the control group and the adjusted group was that first do no harm. So every time we saw a chicken that was not doing well in the control group, they had to come out of the study. Yeah, your empathy for them. You felt bad because you knew you could help them be better. Yeah, I know I can help. I can fix them. So do I stick to my guns with the study and know they'll be dead by tonight or tomorrow? Yeah. Or first do no harm. Right. And in this case, out. Doing nothing is harmful. Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. When I was in Missouri, right after I went to options, I had developed a research project for dogs, because I was in an area where we saw a lot of dogs once every 2 years, whether they needed it or not. Yeah. They'd come in for rabies every 2 years, and that was it. So you were in the Ozarks, weren't you? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I had a hat, and it had the same number of A's and N's in it. And so before I'd go in to see one of these dogs, I'd pull out a slip of paper, and it was either adjust or not adjust. And okay. I would feel COC1, and that was it. Just that area right there, just COC1. Just feel it, motion palpate it, and write down what I found. And then the A's would get adjusted and the N's would get not adjusted. Well, I was amazed at how many people would be like, oh my gosh, you're doing chiropractic on my dog. Well, it's an N, so no, I'm not, but I am looking to see if there's any subluxations in this first area. Well, go ahead and check my whole dog. Yeah. Okay. And even though these were people that only came to the vet once every 2 years for rabies shot, they were very open to coming to the chiropractor with their dog on a more regular basis. So, okay, well, those dogs went out of the study totally. Yeah. And then you'd have a dog that you'd adjust, you'd just touch and it would scream. And they'd be like, oh, what's going on? Well, your dog has a subluxation there. Well, can you fix it? Well, it's an N, so not. Yes, I can fix it. But you're the doctor. Yes, I can fix it. So we'd fix those. And so my control group became this group of dogs that came in. It was very, very small. I think I had 30 after 30 dogs that we attempted to put into the study, the control group was 2 dogs that I could not identify a vertebral subluxation at COC1 when I started.
Yeah, that's a small control group, very small.
Yeah, not a very valid study, and
right.
First do no harm. So
right.
We have one of our graduates owns the largest dairy in New York, and the largest dairy practice, of course.
It's a female.
Mm-hmm. A female.
Yeah. Okay. I remember her being highlighted.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty amazing.
And she so she did a study where we challenged her to do this study where she just looked at the sacrums, just the last vertebral segment on these cows that were open, and adjust them. And so she did, and she came back with her preliminary numbers, and it was like, yeah, more cows are getting pregnant, and they're coming into heat sooner, and it's really saving the dairy money. Like, great, we just need enough numbers to publish it. So I don't know, it was 3 or 4 months later, I called her up and asked her how it was going. She said, we quit the study. I'm like, why'd you quit the study? How can adjusting, why? She said, well, my biostatistician said it was costing too much money to adjust the sacrum. What, it took you like 3 seconds. She goes, yeah, no. She said, you didn't listen to me, Dr. O. What do you mean I didn't listen to you? She said, well, we're still adjusting sacrums. We just don't have any controls in it.
Yeah, it was costing them to not adjust them. It wasn't costing to take the time to do it. It was the open cows. Yeah, the lack of milk production. Yeah. There you go.
And lack of new babies, so they quit. They quit the study. There's not enough numbers to be statistically significant, and so we can't publish that study in a peer-reviewed journal. And that's one of the things that I find when we attempt to do chiropractic research is who pays for the stuff, and 2, if it's doctors that are in the field working with real live animals that are owned by somebody that are, how can you do a placebo?
Right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the only way it'd be setting up some kind of study where everybody knew they signed up for it, and it was a short-term study, and then at the end of the study, those that didn't get adjusted would get adjusted, but they would have to wait and then find out if they were in the group. But it would have to be something that was only 3 weeks long, or it couldn't go on for months, because then you would lose that window of opportunity to really help the dog, and then that guilt part would start moving in.
Well, we're going to do one with infrared thermography.
That's good. That's very cool.
We have 50 dogs coming in, and there's going to be 60 dogs in the study. So dogs will come in, they'll get assigned a number, and the numbers, there'll be 10 random numbers in there, and they come to me, and I'll have a list of these 10 dogs that don't get adjusted. All right. So they'll get their picture taken, then they'll come to me, and if they're on the list, I don't adjust them. I just pet them. Then they go back and get their picture taken. And then they go back over to the lady that signed them in. And if they're one of those 10 dogs, she gives them a different number.
Oh.
So then they'll go back and get a new beginning picture taken. All right. And then I'll adjust them. And then they'll get another after picture taken. So some dogs will have 4 pictures, but we won't ever compare their first picture to their last picture. It will always be, because they'll be different. Yeah. So everybody will get adjusted that day.
That's good.
But some of them will just get more pictures.
It'll be interesting to see how the thermography changes from the before. And then even the ones, like you said, they don't get adjusted. you just pet them. Even that it'll be interesting to see how the thermography looks different, even just with you petting them.
Right. Because, you know, and I'm going to have to really be careful when I pet them.
That's right. Right. Because your fingers are going to do the walking, and all of a sudden your brain's going to do the thought. And you got to be careful not to make an adjustment just telemetry wise.
Right.
Yes. The intention and the thought, it could accidentally happen, Bill.
I know.
You're that good.
I am bad. I am bad about, you know, man, I just reach up and, you know, you reach up and you feel an atlas and it's superior on one side. And it's hard just not to hook your finger in.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, we like a lot of show me chiropractic. So part of our protocols is to show the owner, you know, that their dog is subluxated. And sometimes it's tough to not just fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And even just the intention, the thought, which is, you know, intention is part of that subluxation. You envision as you're adjusting that you're making that correction the way it needs to be. But just, we don't pet anymore. You can't. Once you learn this much and you've been doing this long, then fingers, it's not the same kind of pet.
Right.
You're back on it and it's like, oh, okay, we got to do that. Yeah.
I'll probably have to pet like this, upside down. Or with my elbows or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
To do something. So anyway, all right. Well, our time is up. Thank you so much for allowing us.
If you are or know a veterinarian or chiropractor, or a student of either of these professions, visit our website, Animal Chiropractic Education Source, to see how to become certified in animal chiropractic. Start improving the lives of the animals around you. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe to the ACES channels so that you never miss an exciting episode.